Um, I want to make a little video for you about our discussion boards and kind of see if I can explain not only the rubric that I use to grade your responses on, but provide you with the rationale behind why I use it. I feel like a lot of times students will um, do better, whether they're in kindergarten or in first grade or in high school or in college or in graduate school, if they understand the why behind things. And so this is my attempt to do that for you with our discussion boards. Our discussion boards are a key component of our EDUC 2400 course. And this is for our online asynchronous course. So when we have an online asynchronous course, the very nature of it has certain advantages and disadvantages. And one of the advantages that I greatly appreciate is that whether you are in Utah or whether you are in Alabama or you are in Rhode Island, we can be in the same class. And I enjoy that because that opens up the range of the number of personalities and experiences and knowledge that we can all bring together, which we wouldn't have if we were limited to just the people who are able to travel to campus every day. So that's a big advantage, and I'm very grateful for that advantage that technology brings to us. One of the disadvantages is that because we are asynchronous and online, we have a little bit more as far as layers of communication to work through to be able to connect with each other to facilitate learning. And our class is about school, society, and diversity, and how we can promote high levels of academic achievement, educational success, educative opportunities, and experiences for all learners. We know in exploring equity and equality that schooling in the United States and around the world, public schooling and kind of general schooling has not worked well for whole groups of people. Hence, I got into education as a teacher because I was interested in every learner. And I'm sure that's what you are here for too. You also want to be a dream keeper and you're concerned with every learner's educational experiences and outcomes, not just some students. So because of that, it's very important that we are trying to bridge some of the limitations of being online and asynchronous. So, with asynchronous, meaning that we're not logged on at the same time. I might be logged on at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you might be logged on at 10 o'clock p.m. when I am sleeping and when your classmates are sleeping or working or doing whatever. So we don't have to be on at the same time. That's what asynchronous means. And so to facilitate and promote maximum learning, we have to know how does the brain work and what is a tool that we can use to kind of facilitate bridging some of the challenges that asynchronous online learning has. And the research is pretty clear with online learning that discussion boards are a very useful tool. Now, I understand that some of you may think about discussion boards as one more hoop to jump through and not find it particularly meaningful. And I am in no position to make any judgment calls on anyone about that because I know when I was in graduate school and when I finished my second master's degree, which was all online, I did sometimes feel that way as well. I thought, well, if I can just finish this jumping through the hoop, and get my post and my replies done, good to go, moving on. So I wasn't always fully aware of the potential and the possibilities that come with discussion boards. So one of the things that I learned from reading the research on online learning is that students do better when they are recursively coming back to the discussion board, and they have a stronger sense of connection with their classmates and with their professor and their whole learning community, which makes sense, right? Because if we were in a face-to-face traditional classroom, we would literally see each other physically and be able to look into each other's eyes and be able to read each other's body language and feel each other's vibes that we give off. So most communication does not come from the words that are coming out of our mouth. Most communication is actually conveyed through our bodies, whether we're aware of it or not. And usually we're not aware of it. So we have a very limited form of communication being online and asynchronous. So a discussion board becomes the touchstone for us to come back to again and again. And so, as I say, come back to again and again, what I mean is that we're returning throughout the week to our discussion board. It's someplace where all of us, wherever we are in the world, in our lives, whatever time of day, we all come back to this discussion board as our touchstone for every week. And it's recursive in the sense that at the beginning of the week, early on Monday morning, we're introducing and exploring our new module. And we have readings and we have assignments and we have videos and various activities that we do. And so we begin on Monday to explore. No later than Wednesday night, we should be far enough into the readings that we're able to make a substantive, very analytical, very meaningful, thoughtful post about what we've been seeing in the readings so far in the content. We don't have to be completely done, because by the time we get about Tuesday and Wednesday into the module, we're still only approaching about halfway there. So we can pace ourselves so that we're finishing out readings on Thursday and Friday, and then wrapping things up on Saturday. And if we need Sunday for our back time for our emergency in case we overflow, that's okay. So our discussion board fits into this because when we post our own initial response and we're not all the way finished with our module, we are thinking and having to write and put our post on the discussion board. So anytime you're using more of your senses to create something and put it out there, you are in a productive state of being, not receptive. If you're reading something, it's receptive. You're taking it in, you're receiving it. If you're hearing it, it's receptive. So what you're doing when you're putting something on the discussion board is you're using more senses. You've taken it in, that was receptive. You're reading it. Maybe you were taking some notes, but now you're going to really start moving into higher order level thinking, and you're going to start deciding what are you going to write, what are the themes, what's the evidence. Do you see how this is higher order thinking skills that you're having to use to even put a post down and organize that? So as soon as you're working on putting something down to share with others, you're going to put it on the post, on the discussion board. That is productive. That is, you are sending that out into the world. It's not merely receptive. So think about how people learn to talk. Babies, they will hear, and then they'll start trying out little words, mama, whatever it may be, dada. And pretty soon they're trying more and more and putting more and more together because it's productive. So our learning is that way as well. We're receiving, but then as we start being productive, it goes into our long-term learning. We get more robust learning because we're having to tell, we're having to explain, and writing is a form of analytical thinking. And so we're going deeper into the text. Okay, so that's helping us with our learning, even though we're asynchronous and we're online, we're bridging that communication with each other. So we get our post on online. Then now we have more resources for more learning because we have the posts of other students and people as well. So then we come back to our readings after we've posted and we're digging in a little deeper. So now we've engaged and we've produced something, we've put it up there. Now we're going back again and we're taking more in. We're taking more in from our module. We're taking more in as we read our peers' posts. We're taking more in as maybe you read an email or something from me that I'm trying to explain. So now you got another layer and you're going a little bit deeper into the module, into the content. So you come back to the discussion board and you post your reply to a classmate or two classmates or three, whatever it may be. So you have to again be productive, and this time you've gone a little bit deeper and you put that on there. So then you're going to go cycle through again and you go back to the readings. You're finishing up the module now. You're finishing up the videos. It's at toward the end of the week and you've been thinking about and receiving all the content and processing it. So you come back to the discussion board again. And so you're at a deeper level and you produce something again because you're responding and contributing to our discussion. Okay, so do you see how that's a recursive process? But you're not just going back to the beginning place. Each time that you go back to the materials, you're going deeper and deeper into your understanding and into your ability to use the content and apply it and evaluate it and be creative with it. So you are moving back and forth, but not in the same place. You're going deeper and deeper and deeper. And as it goes deeper and deeper, you get it deeper and deeper into your long-term memory and you got more robust learning. So you're trying to work with the brain and how the brain works. The brain does not work well if you're cramming things in and then expect to have it get into the long-term memory. It might stay in the short term for a little while, but then pretty soon it's gone. Think about the times you've maybe crammed for a test and you took the test and then that was gone. So the point here being that we want it to be long-term memory and something that's valuable that you are working with deeper and deeper levels of it. Because this is a hard course and it has a lot of hard new content. And so we need ways to process it, and a discussion board will do that. And that's the way we learn from and with each other, even as we're going back and forth with the materials in the module. Okay, so let me share my screen so that I can go over the rubric with you to show you how I grade these. So what has been so fantastic with the discussion boards that I've graded so far is usually what is most difficult for scholars you have done as a class so well. This first criteria is about responsiveness to the content in the module. And so this is like, what are these ideas that are in the module and the learning objectives? What is that content? And so To engage that, you've got 8 to 15 thoughtful original statements that directly reference the assigned content with quotes, paraphrasing, and otherwise connect in an analytical way to what you learned, and extends our learning and dialogue. So what that's basically saying is we're trying to understand in our class school, society, and diversity. How does that all work together? So how did this content that you read, how did you make sense of it? And how did you think about it in relation to our study of and trying to understand the relationships among schools, society, and diversity? Because we want to be dream keepers, so we're trying to understand this content. And as I mentioned, I have seen very, very good posts in this regard. If you make a statement, don't just put the main theme was there's been a lot of change in schools. Put evidence there, because as your reader, we don't want to just simply take your word for it. If you put evidence there, you can guide us to how you made the conclusions that you did. But if you just expect us to just believe it because you said it, then we're actually critical consumers as well, and we're thinking as we're reading, and our communication is slowed down because we're not sure how and why you got to the claims that you did. So you might assume, well, you read the same thing that I did, but it's much better to lay out your case, give evidence for it, say on page whatever of this reading or on this video, give evidence for your statements and explain what you mean. Okay, we have had some really great examples of that in discussion board 2. There were some that were so good I thought I was reading a graduate student discussion board. So you're doing a very good job of that one. So we had a lot of people earn 6 points for that. If it's kind of superficial, a straw person argument, you probably get a 3. Um, so that's typically the hardest one, but you all as a class and as individuals, you have done so well on this very tough criteria here. So you can be very proud of yourself there. And you've also did very, very well on this second difficult criteria. And this is where you're making the connections between school, society, and diversity. What you read, how does that apply to what we're trying to understand? So in this box above, it's more like, this is what it is. This was the theme that I picked out. And here on this one, it's more about, well, this is why it's important and how it applies to school, society, and diversity. And think about yourself as a new teacher. How does this relate to you and your future teaching practice? Okay, so now moving down on the rubric, the next one is about responsiveness to group discussion. You replied to at least 2 other classmates' posts. Your replies are substantive, original, and add to and extend the conversation by building upon or gently challenging points or comments made by classmates. Remember, we do not have to agree with each other. We do not. However, we challenge ideas, not human beings, right? So no matter what the human being thinks or has an opinion or whatever it is, they have their right to think about things the way that they want to, and we won't step on their toes for that. they are valuable and of infinite worth, regardless of what we think about their opinions. So we can challenge their ideas, but not their person. We always treat them as I, thou, not I, it, simply because they disagree with us. It is certainly okay to disagree. It is okay to disagree with each other, but we have to be careful that we are challenging ideas, not the people. Okay. And I don't see that as a problem with our class. I saw a wonderful example of so professionally challenging an idea, and the person was not in any way attacked. And it was very kind, it was very professional. Um, and that's the way learning happens, is people have different ideas and they bring those ideas together, and sometimes it's in the collision of those ideas that new ideas form. So this is actually very productive to disagree, but in a way that does not harm the human being. Okay, so I know you understand that just fine. Um, so 6 points, full marks. Your replies to others are substantive and meet the standard of 5 to 8 meaningful sentences, which is more than saying something like, I love how you said this, or I like how you said that. I personally try to stay away from I like or I love statements, because I don't want you to be thinking that you have to be dependent on whether I like it or love it. I want you to be independent thinkers no matter what I think. So I try not to do that, to say, I love how you said blah, blah, blah. I try not to do that. So if you're simply saying, I love how you talked about XYZ, that's not particularly substantive. Okay. You're trying to extend the conversation, add to it, give an example of it, something much more than like a clicking the like button on Facebook. It's more than that. Okay. Um, so this next one is where a lot of people lost points. And this is one that you might think, well, that's kind of ridiculous. I can understand why some people might think that. It's the timeliness of discussion contributions. And to get six full points here, posts are distributed throughout the week and not all posted on 1 or 2 days. Ideally posted over at least 3 days, preferably more. Okay, so what that means is that that's that recursive process where you're starting out early in the week and you go to the discussion board Tuesday, Wednesday. By that time, you probably have already gotten a good way into the material. You can post something substantive. Then you go back to the materials, and now you have what you posted yourself, plus maybe you already saw somebody else's post, and you're going back to the materials in a deeper way. So you are ready to come back maybe, in another 24, 48 hours and post again and reply to somebody, extend that conversation. So then you're going to go through that cycle again, and you're going to go deeper into the material. Now you've got more content because more of your peers have posted things. And so you can respond to that and go back to the material. So you're cycling back and forth between the discussion board and the material and what your peers are adding to it, and you're going and engaging it in a deeper level. So that's the thinking behind going back to the discussion board and posting it over 3 days. And then you get 2 points if its posts are not well distributed throughout the week and are posted on 2 days. You get 2 points for that. 1 day if they're all on the same day, 0 points if you didn't even reply to anyone. So this is the one that tripped a lot of people up. And I can understand it may not have made sense to you, but hopefully now that you know what the thinking is behind it, hopefully you won't feel like um it's just jumping through hoops there. Okay. Now, this one is about really being engaged in our discussion board because we do not get to meet face to face, not virtually either. And we're not synchronous at any time. So I know for week 2, we had one exceptional scholar who not only kept coming back to the discussion board, but even brought us a YouTube video that was so pertinent to our discussion. I had not seen that before, and that was so useful for me as well. So I'm sure it was to you as well. And I mean, that scholar clearly got the 6 full points because it was more than just the minimum 2 replies. Okay, so somebody who really is engaging our discussion and going above and beyond and being fully present. This is our one area where we can keep coming back and we have opportunities to learn with and from each other. So you get 6 full points if you're going above and beyond like that. Okay. So that, let's see, and of course, this last one is about the mechanics of it, grammar, punctuation, those sorts of things that help facilitate the conversation. And if we can all easily read rather than try to decipher what's being said, that's not been at all a problem with us. So thank you for your professionalism there. Okay, so that is the rubric. That's kind of the thinking behind it. I hope that helps with what we're trying to do here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to just say ciao ciao, as they say in Argentina, and bid you a happy rest of the day. Thank you.